Hello, welcome to the debut NAACP monthly community meeting. Tonight's meeting is going to be moderated by the chair of our health committee, by none other than Dr. Morris L. Brown. The subject matter is political apathy, inactivity, a danger to your health. We hope that you're going to be informed, educated, thereby empowered to make conscientious, great decisions in your daily journey of life. And with that said, Dr. Brown, it's on you.
Thank you, Brother Ford. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Good afternoon.
This will be hopefully educational. We're hoping that we're presenting some information that most of the people don't know, some things you will know. But the intent of this is to motivate people who are not registered to get registered, and those that are registered to vote. So a show of hands, how many registered voters do we have now? And every hand is raised. So kind of look like we'll be talking to the choir. However, the challenge will be to go to choir. So if you are registered to vote, and you're motivated to vote, and you plan to vote, your job's not done. Each of us in here tonight, and hopefully you can get some nuggets that will help you win that argument with these people that are saying crazy things, such as I'm going to use my no vote as a weapon. Have you guys heard that one? My no vote will be a weapon. I let them know I'm a Gen X, I'm a millennial, and I'm going to use my vote not to vote, which will be a weapon, to let them know I don't want either one of them. So that's the kind of things that we have to counter. So we got to go require. You're going to be looking for nuggets that you can share with your family members, that you can share with your neighbors. And you got to approach these people in a very open way. You got to initiate this conversation. Because there are a lot of people who are not paying attention, and I may be paying too much attention. I've been watching this now since the last election. I've been watching it occur and seeing what's going on. But a lot of people have tuned out. They don't want to hear about it. And unfortunately, what they don't know is that if they, and since you guys are part of the choir, but what we have to tell them is, if you don't vote, then I am voting for you. And the I could be the exact opposite of how you want to see the world. So if you want your world to be a certain way, you got to vote. Now, I know it seems to be overwhelming when the powers to be aren't listening to you and you only got one vote. But that's why you join memberships like this, the NAACP, and you form coalitions with neighborhood action groups, and you build a coalition, a network of people who you can help influence. So the only way we create the world that we want is that we must be politically active. And what we'll see tonight are the consequences of our political apathy. There are some things that have happened purely because we didn't have our eyes on the ball. We were not politically involved. We weren't paying attention. And now these are some consequences. So our esteemed panelists tonight will help share this with you. I have 4 excellent members who are very active in the community. These people aren't just voters, they are also activists. Each of them in their own right are taking an active part in structuring how this community should look and how this community will look. And again, if you're not active, you got to do more than just vote. You've got to be an activist. So feel free, if you hear something from one of these 4 people tonight, ask them, how can I help you do what you're doing? Because it's the inactivity that's we're going to pay the consequence. In fact, we're already suffering consequences of our inactivity, of our apathy. I don't want to be bothered with politics. I don't want to hear that. My vote doesn't count. So we, the choir, has to share the word. We've got to increase the choir. We've got to grow the people. Because if we do not, and again, I don't care how you vote. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. NAACP is nonpartisan. So I can't tell you how to vote, but I can sure tell you should vote, whatever your wishes are. Your non-vote allows me to vote for you, and when I vote for you, it's going to be in my interest, not your best interest. So our panelists tonight, starting at the extreme right, because her topic is so important, she'll probably speak a second time if others join us. But because she's going to call you guys for some action today, we're going to start with her. And that's Ms. Charlene Davis. Let's welcome her audience. Ms. Davis is active with the Clergy Community Coalition, which is the coalition that formed after Good Sam was being threatened and eventually closed. And she will now give us what her action, what she's doing with her committee, and again, she's going to call us to action. Do you have a microphone? You? Okay.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening.
The Clergy Community Coalition, the CCC, you have seen us since January 2018 on the corner of Salem Avenue and Philadelphia Drive. There long stood the grand and well-serving Good Samaritan Hospital, where so many of you were born and cared for. Good Sam was given by the Sisters of Charity and Perpetuity to the city of Dayton. The Clergy Community Coalition holds signs that say, "We need a hospital," and Premier Health is not a Good Samaritan. And why do white people get hospitals and black people urgent cares? The Clergy Community Coalition asked Premier Healthcare, the for-profit, not-for-profit entity, to not close and demolish Good Samaritan Hospital. Were there a catastrophe such as a rampant virus called COVID, those 400 beds would be needed. When COVID came along in 2020, there would be need to talk of setting up a temporary hospital in the Dayton Convention Center. Saying Good Sam was not to be. Now what it needs to be, in the context of a hospital crisis throughout the United States of America, is a Dayton, Ohio public hospital. The only Ohio public hospital remaining is in Cleveland. Yesterday's Dayton Daily News 1723 had uplifting stories in several areas of Dayton need. One was the increased coverage over several states by the Dayton-based insurance company CareSource. CareSource Insurance will need a similarly caring Dayton hospital in which to provide this care. Dr. Morris Brown, your NAACP Healthcare, has asked 3 questions regarding the matter of a public hospital. 1, if there are not 1,500 valid signatures, or if the City of Dayton Commission rejects them, what then? 2, what is the difference between a public hospital and a nonprofit hospital that was Good Samaritan and by Constitution should be Premier Healthcare and Integrity Healthcare? 3, what assurance is there that insurance companies would reimburse a public hospital at the same rate as for other hospitals now? Question 1. If the Dayton City Commission rejects the received valid 1,250 signatures or unacceptably alters the language, the CCC has 20 days to collect another 1,250 signatures for a ballot issue submitted by citizens. If there are not the required initial valid 1,250 signatures, the public hospital initiative starts over from 0 signatures. and has 90 days from its start to obtain 1,250 valid signatures. Question 2. The difference between a public hospital and a nonprofit can be found in the 2023 analysis, Ohio's Public Hospital System Challenges and Opportunities, in the Ohio Journal of Public Health. Examples: a public hospital accepts patients regardless of insurance or ability to pay. The governing board of a public hospital is a public body subject to public records requests and with meetings public. Nonprofit hospitals are private entities and do not have to share information about government's decision-making, contracts, and so on. Public hospitals are different in terms of patient care and coverage. Metro Health Cleveland, that one remaining Ohio public hospital, surpasses all local private and non-private rivals in many measures for equitable health access. It provided community benefits equal to 22% of its assets, a higher rate than its private not-for-profit counterparts in Cleveland, the Cleveland Clinic Foundation, 10%, and university hospitals, 9%. Public hospitals frequently give back more to the local community. Question 3. Health insurance companies set their baseline rates themselves, but hospitals may negotiate different rates with the insurance companies. The Dayton Public Hospital would be able to negotiate their rates too. Please this evening submit more questions about public hospitals at the petition signing table out in the hallway. Answers will be researched and given to the NAACP for newsletter and inclusion. Please, if you are registered to vote in Montgomery County and a resident of the city of Dayton, registered to vote in Montgomery and a resident of the city of Dayton, sign the petition to put an issue for a Dayton Public Hospital on the November 2024 ballot. And 158,000 Ohio voters were recently purged from the voter rolls. Check to make sure you are yet registered and know your voting location. Get everybody you know registered and to the polls. November 5. Good work always. NAACP, Dayton. It's the city of Dayton that controls the hospital. And it comprises the board along with very specifically stated other members of the board.
But it's going to be utilized. Are they going to limit
It doesn't relate to being utilized. Anyone can come. But it's under the jurisdiction of the city of Dayton.
Fortunately, we have two excellent lawyers. Can you go speak to this? How can we change it? I mean, that's the dating with it is required that you be registered and that you live
You need one too.
Oh, I need one of those too.
Yes, sir.
Can you come forward? And anybody that wants to make a comment, we'll just have everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. From what I know, from my affiliation with the CCC, the law that was on the books was the requirement for there being a community hospital, which Ms. Bayless alluded to it being a public hospital. This law, in its old law, required that there would be a community hospital based on the fact that there were people that could not afford to go to the regular not-for-profit hospitals. And what tied it into it being a community hospital was the fact that the taxes that the registered voters were paying went towards the hospitals being maintained as a community hospital.
Any other questions or comments? Renee?
I think that my name is Renee Shepherd. I'm part of the NAACP and also on the board of the Mount Neighborhood Coalition. And they did a clinic which is different from a hospital. But to build that clinic, it cost $33 million. 5 Rivers. And they have had 27,000 clients because they're open to anyone regardless of your income and how you can pay. And the hospital will be an even bigger adventure. It will cost maybe $100 and some million. And it will take that great effort of people to come together within the city and outside the city to get something like that. But I can understand you want people to vote the citizen. It will take more than the citizens' money to build that. And you have to, when I see something large being built, it's generally you have to go after federal grant money. So we would need some of our scholars who knows where the money is and how to get it and dedicate it to David.
So again, Sean, you said $1,250, but I thought it cost $1,000. You said $1,500.
Well,
How many signatures do you need?
$1,250, but we're looking to obtain 1,500 signatures in order to have some of this card.
And you're going to take that to the city commissioners.
No, it goes to the board of elections. It's drafted.
Okay, and what's the time frame? When do we need to? Is there a limited time we have to get these signatures?
July 1.
So by July 1,
July 18. Oh.
so we got less than 2 weeks. You got about 3 weeks. 3 weeks to get. Can you give us an update? How many signatures do you have? You have about 800. So can I ask everybody in here, I'm going to sound my voice, you're living day, and you already told me you're registered voters, so that's not an issue. But could we get all the Dayton residents to sign tonight the table that you see when you walk out?
To take over the petition and circulate it among your family and friends that they live in the city.
So after they take the petition and circulate it, is there a drop-off place for the petition?
Nancy
residents paying for the hospital. The hospital board is made up of the mayor of the city of Dayton, and then the Human Rights Council, members of the Human Rights Council, and so 11 members of the city of Dayton would be making up the hospital board. So and then funding, we would definitely be going out for additional funding from the county, from the state, and from the federal government. And grants, federal grants would definitely be part of that, as well as private foundations.
So the table is outside. Let's help out with this movement. Charlene, did you have anything else you want to say?
Thank you.
Any other comments about the public hospital that we need very badly? Okay, the next presenter is going to be Dr. Percy Frazier, who spent quite a bit of time in this hospital before it closed, and he was also down at our hospital, and Kettering, and he probably lived, if not those of you in the room, your grandkids, and not to date him by age, but he's been around as long as I have. So we're going to hear from Dr. Frazier here. We're talking about reproductive health.
I won't be long. I've been in Dayton for 45 years now practicing medicine. I couldn't go to school in Charleston, South Carolina, because it was still very segregated. I tried to go to Clemson, but they had one black there. And instead of Ohio, instead of South Carolina, gave me a scholarship to come to Wilberforce in Central State. I had never seen snow before. So I came up here in 1967 to go to school. And like I said, I went to Wilberforce and then to Maharia in Nashville. And then I did my internship at Good Sam. 4 year at Good Sam with the nuns and everybody else. When they first built that white elephant, we used to call it, because it was a floor to clean floor. And then you have a heart attack on the 4th floor, that's like the 8th floor. I had to run 8 flights to get to people with a heart attack, and by then I had a heart attack. But that was Good Sam, and it served that community. We're in an era now that we just don't talk about if you have insurance. It's what kind of insurance. You have Medicaid or Medicare, then the hospital don't want much to do with you. You are considered a low payer mix. Blue Cross Blue Shield is a better place to have. Because they get 90 cents on the dollar versus 35, 40 cents for Medicaid. Same thing with us as physicians. That's one thing. I was on the board of Montgomery County Health for 9 years, president for 2 years. So I've been in Dayton for a minute. I'm a left member of the NAACP. I've been a left member of STLC, Omega Phi Fraternity. But my pastor said something very provocative Sunday past. I'm a deacon in my church, which is Tabernacle Baptist Church, not too far from here. And he said, some people will be amazed when they get to heaven, because there won't be a white heaven or black heaven, there won't be a Catholic heaven or Baptist or Presbyterian heaven. It's just going to be a heaven. So you're going to be shocked when you get to heaven, because we're all just go together, and we must survive together. The thing that we have to be very concerned about in this country, no woman should be dying of cervical cancer. Every woman should have a pap smear. Every man should have a PSA. Those are useless deaths that we can prevent if found early. Mammogram, if found early. Do you know that some insurance companies won't pay for mammogram? I fought the DBR health plan, which was a Medicaid HMO, when it first started, when I was at the Valley. And a lot of my colleagues said, oh, that's a Medicaid thing here in North Carolina. Not everybody had an HMO. HMOs don't make any decisions, don't do any medical care, but they limit your opportunity to get health care. So that's on, you have to know what's happening with you. So it's not Democrat, Republican, you have to know you. What's good for you? What is good for you? I am an obstetrician and gynecologist. I've delivered over 10,000 babies there. And not only living babies, I do. But one thing you can't do is legislate a woman's body. You can't do that. She has the right, just like I have the right, she has the right. decide whether or not that's between her and her maker. I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. That's my belief. But I don't always tell women, no, you can't get an abortion. No, that's just between you and your maker. Whatever you decide to do. You can't do that. It's impossible. When we used to do that, they used to go to black houses and get abortions with cold hangers and all kinds of stupid stuff. Of course, Trump wants you to drink Clorox, I hope. But anyhow, that's another subject. But you must take care of yourself and your family. You have to be in charge of health care for your family too. If you're here today, think about your family. Ask your sister, your auntie, when's the last time you had an ambulance? When's the last time you had a passenger? And does your insurance pay for it? You know, you have to ask those questions to yourself and to your family. And if the answer was the Republicans are saying now, they don't want Obamacare. Obamacare takes care of all of us. Not just black folks, but all of us. You know, you have to ask those kinds of questions. Particularly when it comes to your health care. You must be in charge of your health care. When I go to surgery, when I take somebody to surgery, first thing in the morning when I see them in the pre-operative area, I say, "Do you bring it with me?" She said, "Well, Dr. Fraser, what are you talking about?" I said, "Did you bring Jesus with me?" I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, I brought him with me too." And he said, "When two or more gather in this room, I'm in the midst." Yeah. You know, I've never lost a patient. Thank God. I've never lost a patient before. I don't go to surgery without knowing that Jesus is with me. And some ladies told me they were afraid I got to be. I said, "What do you mean?" "I don't wake up about it." I said, "Okay, all right." So please look at the issues, decide what's best for you and your family, and see what the issues are. Do you want health care? That should be a right for every American. We drop bombs. I was in the Air Force for 4 years, major operation. A gentleman would take a little Learjet and fly up to Maine to get lobsters for the party. On taxpayer dollars. I believe in some form of universal health. After practicing medicine for 45 years, there's no reason why we shouldn't take care of every person in America in terms of health care. I mean, do it preventively before it gets too bad. You know, I don't want to see you with stage 4 breast cancer when we get maybe diagnosis early. I don't want to see you with prostate cancer that's spread all over the place when we get PSA much earlier. You know, I don't want to see you with heart attack when you were having chest pains and didn't bother to go to the doctor because you didn't have insurance. That's stupid in America. That's pretty frivolous. I don't care what race, color, creed, religion you are. That's stupid. For 45 years, I had walked my practice with the Lord. 45 years, He's taking care of me and my patients. I meet people on the street and they say, "Hey, Dr. Fraser, you delivered my son." I said, "Really?" I said, "How old is your son?" "Oh, he's 38. I said, "That was my dad." But my oldest son is 44. He's an emergency medicine doctor. And we've had these discussions. So please take care of yourself, take care of your family, ask those questions.
So the doctors in the house, please, let's give them a hand, please. We spoke in this house, I went to the church we were in, but that's all right too, we're in church. As I started by saying, you're the choir. Everybody here is voting. 3 people already walked in. Soon you'll register. If not, you'll be registered when we leave. As we said, we got to go to the choir. We need more people. We've got to get people to the phones. So are there any questions for the doctor?
Thank you, Dr. Frazier. In your opinion, the Supreme Court ruling on the ban of the contraception, is that a cause for hope, or did they leave the door open for states to continue with their restriction on abortion? And then part 2 of that is, can you just share a little bit with us how voting affects such decisions up to that level with the Supreme Court's ruling?
Well, you know, most of the Supreme Court, a lot of times the Supreme Court is appointed by Donald Trump. And they have his philosophy. And again, you go back to legislating a woman's body. You can't do it. They've tried. Back in the day, in the 60s, when I started practicing medicine, women used to go to back houses and get abortions with clothes hangers and all kinds of stuff. They end up with dead or very sick. We're going back to the era. Now, people with money will get their abortions. You go to the doctor's office and your daughter misses a cycle. And we used to do medical extraction. They used to do suction in the office. No pregnancy test. Just suction and boom, down the trash. She had poison, nobody knows. So people with money will get their termination. It's the poor people. And one of my favorite scriptures is, inasmuch as you do unto the least of these, you do unto me. So we must look at the least of these, always.
Second half of that question, I'm going to have one of the lawyers respond to, which was about the Supreme Court ruling about the legislation, the oral medication, and I hope I don't put you guys on the spot. But her question was, from the ruling and the way it was stated, is there a guarantee that we will have this option available for women? Or did it sound as if they're opening the door for not only restricting that down the road, but maybe even some other restrictions? You'll be next year. I'll turn it over to
I've already learned a lot here tonight. Every time Ellis talks, I learn something I need to know. So, nonetheless, my view of what's going on with the Supreme Court in Washington, the real Supremes, the big Supremes, is there's such extremism there that occasionally some of the slightly more moderate justices are uncomfortable with it. I think that's what you saw on the case you're talking about. I think that's what we saw later this week on gun rule. And so you can't give up hope as to what happens, but there's no reasonable belief that somebody simply changes. Some of the most progressive Supreme Court justices in our lifetimes, though, have been appointed by Republicans. Earl Warren, former Republican governor of California, no judicial experience, is a titan in our legal history. So you can't give up hope, but, you know, it's frustrating to say to people, look, I don't know what else you're thinking about, but that next president, which was a compliment in 2016, is going to appoint 2 or 3, at least, Supreme Court justices, and that, pardon the expression, trumps everything. And so it's incredibly important. Since I got the opportunity, I want to also say, don't go to sleep on the Ohio Supreme Court. You know that all of this stuff, the interpretation of what we believe we wrote in our Constitution last time, is going to come before them. I can remember not that many years ago when it was 7-0 one political party. And there was at least one among those 7 who was a great progressive jurist. And I asked him once, how is this going to change? And he said, oh, just be patient, it'll change. And I said, well, Justice, neither one of us will be alive by then, but I was wrong. And now we have a chance with 3 outstanding candidates, including the wonderful incumbent, Melody Stewart, who's a tower of strength and a great leader on that court, and hopefully will be Chief Justice someday, to get control back. The appointment to replace the jurist who became Chief Justice by Governor DeWine was Mr. Dieters from Cincinnati, a noted hardcore right-wing, with a track record as a noted jurist. So you have a chance, and he opted to run against Mel Stewart because he wants a longer term instead of to run for 2 more years. I take that personally. I think we all better take that personally. He picks out the one African-American justice on the Supreme Court, and that's who he thinks he can best beat. Well, that's not what that happens. So there's 3 seats. The more progressive part of the electorate or of the justices can be preserved. We can have a majority, and it'd be unbelievable to have gotten it. So don't let anybody go to sleep on that.
Same things that people wish
It's easy now because thanks to the legislature thinking that if you put an R after somebody's name, they would win, they've now mandated that the ballot shows your political party. And as my good friend Mel Stewart said, watch out. You've got women's rights on the ballot. You've got this gerrymandering issue on the ballot. She says, I think that's going to blow up in the face. So the simple answer is, the easy to remember answer is, anybody with a D after their name are the ones who are trying to bring about change. And of course, this is a non-partisan.
Any other questions about the secret?
Sorry for the city.
No. Any other questions about the Supreme Court out of the U.S. Supreme Court or not? Well, that's very important. We're where we are today because of the election that occurred where there was an opportunity to appoint three justices. And you guys know what played out. There was McConnell did not allow the vote to come forward when Obama was in the White House. Now that should not be allowed, but it happened. They made the rules themselves. They acted on the law. And that's why Obama was not able to make it, even they wouldn't even get the year. And still have a year left on his term. And you see what happened when they got to the Bush. He on his way out the door, they quickly brought, I think it was a female jurors. And they rushed up to it, even though they tell you straight. So they use those rules to choose and fit them. And that's what happens when we become apathetic about politics. If we don't take people about them and speak for ourselves and people don't act it, they will act on our behalf or in our absence. But it will not be to our advantage. And that's what happened with the Supreme Court. So we cannot let that happen again. A lot of those guys are older, but as old as Brian Trump. So they're going to be something. The next president will appoint at least 2 Supreme Court justices, maybe 3. And heaven forbid if now we've got an additional 3 extreme right people coming to the podium. Young lady, you have a question? You want to come up to the mic?
Since you keep asking
You
the
want to
question,
come to the mic? And I'm going to need your name. Please. No. You don't want to give your name. You don't have to give your name. But I need you to record. Because we're recording.
Question regarding the state Supreme Court. For our Constitution to function as it was intended, there's supposed to be segregation between the 3 powers, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. Do we really believe that we have the head of the executive and his son on the judiciary, and that there's independence there? And what can we do about it?
Let's go to the expert.
My name's Donald Jacobs. I'm the other lawyer over here. When it's time to talk about the past, I usually don't care about to talk about it because he's been sort of a hero on talking about how the Supreme Court in our community. These are races that most people do see. Most of the legal communities see something, and they don't quite realize how critical they are. It is, to put it kindly, that you would have a Supreme Court justice actually hear cases involving these. You know, that's probably not the greatest thing you'd like to see happen in the world of ethics and laws and rules. And it's a problem. It's a problem for us. You know, his dad is not going to be the governor of Donald Trump. And he can't run again. And so things are going to change. But it's a very good point. I'm glad you pointed it out. All the more reason why these 3 need to be elected is a chance to get the Supreme Court doing the right thing for a change. As we saw during the whole redistricting fiasco last time around, if you remember it, the people do
we're going to go back to Attorney Lepper again. He chairs the Climate and Environment and Climate Committee for the NAACP. He's also a practicing physician and very active in the community, as you can hear from the conversation he's already had. So here we go. And there he is, the next presenter.
Thank you. And as soon as I saw you in your vote shirt, I realized I had intended to wear mine and forgot. So yeah, sure. Dr. Brown said he wanted me to address policies that adversely affect the environment and health of the community. And we could sit here all night and talk about those things. Ohio has become nationally legendary, really, for thwarting clean energy policies. Go back to 2014. We had a beginning of a booming wind energy development in Ohio. How many people go to Indiana very often? Loaded with wind turbines. You see so many in Ohio? No, because in 2014, in order to assist the fossil fuel industry, the legislature set forth an extensive setback, like 1,225 feet from a next property where you have permission of that property owner to have a turbine. In contrast, you can pump oil out of your ground 100 feet from your neighbor's property line. 100 feet. That effectively killed wind energy in Ohio. And the only project that has come along in 10 years that has a chance is offshore in Lake Erie. And that project was derailed as a consequence of all this House Bill 6 nonsense with the party leader who's now in prison. And the then appointed, Governor DeWine appointed a guy named Sam Randazzo as chair of the PUCO. And they derailed that project until he was gone, and now it's got a long way to go. But where went our wind energy? More recently, 2019, that's when House Bill 6 passed. And that subsidized nuclear plants and coal plants in Ohio. The very opposite of clean energy. And you know what all flows out of that scandal. And there's still questions being asked of the Lieutenant Governor and Governor about their role in that. Both of them received very large donations from the proponents of that project. Then in 2021, there's Senate Bill 52 that says counties can veto solar projects. It was originally drafted that communities could. I know where I live that those trustees wouldn't hesitate for a millisecond to veto a solar project. At least it's countywide. At least we probably can have it in Montgomery County. But all across Ohio, you can't veto cell phone tower. You can't veto oil wells. But you can veto things like solar. So once again, urgings allow legislation to grow up and have that kind of power. Another good example of our health at risk, bump stocks on guns. The U.S. Supreme Court dumped a Trump-era regulations that equated bump stocks that makes a semi-automatic weapon an automatic weapon with machine guns. And the majority of the court said, no, that's an exercise of rulemaking that exceeds the power that the legislative branch had, the executive branch had. ATF was trying to do that. So, fine, everybody knows bump stocks cause mass tragedies, right? So they take it to the Congress in the wake of that decision, and a single senator in Washington was able to stop and derail that, which had majority support, but that proposed law that would ban bump stocks, notwithstanding what the Supreme Court said. School vouchers, Ohio. Whether you favor them or not, whether you know the correct use of those or not, now the very wealthy have the same opportunity as anyone else to cash in their public school opportunity for a voucher to pay for them to go to show anything about your public schools, and it's led to billions being poured into these charters, not charter schools necessarily, but schools that take those vouchers. And what is it doing? It's burning down our public schools. That's a danger to our health. You've got this whole fight right now about gender-affirming care. No matter what you think about that, the proposed law in Ohio, which is now on hold, would say a kid that's going through that is not going to be allowed to get counseling now. It would freeze all that. So the common pleas judges, judges matter, state that statewide. The Attorney General, Mr. Gibbons, challenged it and said you couldn't have one county stop it statewide. Well, the Ohio Supreme Court did the right thing on that one. They didn't come to a conclusion that there's anything wrong with that, but they did uphold the stay. So it matters. You've got dark money, you've got First Energy using dark money to create the little House Bill 6 mess, and I could go on and on, but I think I'll stop there. You get the picture. Vote. Vote.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Any questions to the attorney? He mentioned a lot. I know we covered a lot. That's what this is all about. So your health can be made by decisions that are not just made by this doctor, but these are people that's making decisions in the capitals, in the U.S. Capitol, in the state of Ohio, and the governor of Ohio. They are making decisions that are going to adversely affect your health. Environmental justice means where are the landfills? Where are they? They're in West State. They're not in Oakwood. I have asked them. Why do I have asked them? Because I was basically all through my whole childhood. I was living in an area that was contaminated with nuclear waste. Unbeknownst to me, it was after the fact, after I became an adult, that I found out exactly what was going on. But that's the typical environment we live in. We're not just dealing with food deserts, but we're living in toxic lands based on policy. And that's the point. These policies, you don't vote, you're going to suffer the consequences. And I know that's a big jump to say you got to be educated on all that, but you got to. You got to know what this challenge is. Our next speaker is going to talk about a topic that's, again, a little different twist. You were pointing toward. Oh, you have a question?
You're exactly right. The legislature passed that. He vetoed it, and we all thought, how about that? Well, the legislature didn't run. They overruled the veto. So we're right back there. And again, this Ohio Supreme Court may decide. And the United States Supreme Court, by the way, failed to mention, took a case and considered that for next term.
So the next speaker is Attorney Jacobs. He's retired, but spent quite a few years with ABLE, which is an organization that most of you know about. Equivalent to legal aid, do the same type of work, helping people that are disenfranchised, people that can't afford attorneys. And we asked him to discuss this issue of equity and this issue of inclusion and diversity, which now, as you know, is being cut out of affirmative action long ago. And now they're attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion. So there are states that are making rules, there are countries, there are counties, there are legislators, there are companies that are saying we don't need to make sure everybody is represented around our board anymore. We can keep it as we want and make the decision as we choose. So, thank you.
So nice to see everybody here.
state and federally tax exempt. And under the 64 Civil Rights Act, they're supposed to distribute health care in an equitable fashion. So that, and then the decision, can you talk about the role Leon Rodriguez served in regard to one of the head attorneys at Premier, as well as a former lawyer in the very agency that the federal complaint was filed?
Well, as I said, it's not simple, it's complicated, and you just raised something that's complicated. Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act, the 64 Civil Rights Act, basically says if you're taking federal money, any entity, public entity or private entity, whoever you are, you're taking federal money, you cannot discriminate against them. You can't do it intentionally, and you can't have a disparate impact on minority communities. Can't do it, okay? And it makes sense. I mean, President Kennedy's lawyer was saying, you know, if we're giving out this money, they can't be discriminating with it. So that's what it's like. The case of most Premier is kind of the fact that they accept Medicare and Medicaid payments to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And my gosh, they're bound by Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act. And nobody ever disputed that they were bound by it. Our burden was to show that there was a substantial impact on the affected community. If you remember what happened in 2019, 2020, the whole pandemic thing came up. And so while we had a lot of individuals who would come forward and say, this is how it impacted me, getting statistics to tell that same story because of intervening pandemic became virtually impossible. So I don't know if that probably had an effect as well. But then the final thing you mentioned is that Premier, they're no dummies, and they got plenty of dough, and they had plenty of local lawyers, but they went to Washington, D.C. and hired a guy who used to head the Department of Civil Rights at HHS to be there. And, you know, you would think that a guy with that kind of background, that kind of knowledge, would say that, well, put something on the table, which they did, you know, and, you know, these people, you know, up from here. And I'm sure that had a big impact.
It's important to
So-
get the signatures. It's important to get the
Get the
signatures.
signatures, yeah, let's, I'm getting everybody out there. But if you love the day, you gotta get your signatures. And we'll take on everybody here to Mills and Dayton to sign out on the please. Any other questions? Mr. Rodriguez.
People need to know that Premier, all the facilities that they built in those white neighborhoods around Dayton now do not take Medicaid. Our colors in the water. They do not take Medicaid.
Okay, so again, people, if you don't vote, yeah, that's a welcome. And again, I'm going to end this as I started. And again, you guys are voters. So I'm talking to the choir. This is the foolishness that you're going to hear. So I'm not going to vote because that's a welcome, and I want everybody to know I'm not going to have anything to do with either of it. I don't like either one of them. So I'm going to use my welcome not to vote. Well, yeah, that's a welcome out there. And you're surrendered. But you want to go further than surrender. So what we heard tonight, you're actually committing suicide. So that's how you hit back against folk. You're committing suicide by not being politically active. Thank you for your time. I turn it over to the President.
Thank you very much, Chairman Brown. Has been wonderful. It's been very engaging, inspiring, but also important. It's important for us to know what's going on inside our community in different ways that we can be advocates for whatever the situation. Because that's what we do. We advocate. That's our job, is to advocate. So that's what we're doing now. We've been duly informed. We've been educated. Now that will empower us to make whatever decision is going to be in the best interest of our constituents. That's how we go to market. Year in, year out, day in, day out, month in, month out. So let's give Dr. Brown, first of all, a hand for putting together this student panel. And then for the panelists, thank you for engaging with us. Not just the people who's in here today, but also for the people and the many viewers that's on Facebook Live that's going to get this message. That's vitally important. And then what you find out on our Facebook page is that individuals share these different community meetings. So next month, right outside this room, our subject matter would be on economic sustainability. So, and that's going to be done by our chairman of our Economic Development Committee, which is Roland Winburn. He's the chair of our Economic Sustainability Committee. And if you want to be able to hear about what's going on economically, you see, I don't know if you live in Dayton or around Dayton, but you see many closures of businesses. You see Church's Chicken just closed, right? You wouldn't have to eat Church's Chicken now, but you see that closed. You see Rite Aid closed. You see Walgreens, what was that? Family Dollar closed. And all these things are happening in a very short period of time. So we asked our economic development chairperson to talk with city leadership and township and Harrison Township leadership to see what their plan is. You know, do they actually meet with these different businesses to kind of talk about retention? You know, we want to know. You know, what is the game plan to retain business inside of our community, especially for a lot of our economically challenged citizens? So that's going to be on tap next month. So for all our Facebook friends, allies, we say to you, join us here next month. You know, the fourth weekend or the fourth Monday of July, and I probably need somebody to look at the calendar for me because I know next, what's the day? 24th, the 24th of July, and talk about economic sustainability and how we are going to grow our community. So until next time, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord bless the NAACP, and may the Lord bless these United States of America. Thank you very much, everybody.
Can we have her speak to the Facebook?
Come on forward. We have some enough for you.
If someone would like to sign the ballot initiative, just contact me. My name is Nancy Keel, and my phone number is 937-422-4391. Again, my name is Nancy Keel. My phone number is 937-422-4391. And we'll organize the time that we can get together to have a signed petition. Thank you so much. Oh, and the deadline for the signatures is July 18th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.